we're going to talk a little bit about values. I'm sure you think you know what we're going to talk about, like, oh yeah, write down my values and spend according to my values. That's actually not exactly it. I do recommend writing down your values. I think that's very helpful. And when you're going to the money gym each week, and you know what I'm talking about because you've watched the previous videos, and you're tracking your expenses and the money that's coming in, you can sort of do some reflecting based on what you think your values are. I didn't really like that I spent money on this thing because it doesn't line up with any of my values. But over time, as you're doing this, certain values will start to rise to the surface that perhaps you didn't even write down. That is why, one of the reasons why this work is so powerful. You start to see how you're actually operating in the world, and it's usually pretty different from how you think you're operating. For me, for my example, I wound up realizing that I spend a lot of money on coffee shops. And at first I was like, doing the thing where I sort of feel bad about myself and I shouldn't spend so much money on coffee and I should be bringing my coffee from home, etc., etc. Well, when I really looked at that expense, I realized that I really love going to the coffee shop. I like seeing the people that are there, eating the food that's there. I like doing work there. I like drinking the coffee that's there. I was able to sort of turn this around and decide, okay, well, I want to continue doing this. So I'm going to make myself a little space in my budget. Whoa, sorry, I'm sitting on a ball. I'm going to make myself a little space in my budget that is really specifically for coffee. And then it means that if my budget needs to shift a little bit, maybe I can pull from somewhere else where I'm not that excited about spending that money. Things start to sort of show up that you don't necessarily think are going to show up, or that you maybe at first glance would resist, right? Like, no, I don't spend that much money on coffee, and like I shouldn't, like I totally should just pack my coffee from home. But when I really sat down and looked at it, I realized this is a place where I do want to spend money. There are some magazine subscriptions that I let go of, and I don't actually want to spend that money there. I don't really need them right now. So I'm going to move that money over there and maybe one other thing. And then I've got my coffee fund for the month, right? So this is how we are going to start looking at our values. We're going to start letting them actually speak for themselves rather than it being like a top-down thing. We're going to be like, well, what am I actually spending my money on? And does that thing really bring me joy in a way that I'm sort of unwilling to admit? Oh, it does. I feel better about myself, or I feel more part of my community, or I feel cooler, things that like uplift you, right? And maybe make you more of who you are. Those things are important. And so how can we start looking at where we're spending our money, where we're not spending our money, and start moving things around so that it really starts to serve us for who we are authentically in the world. Then whenever you go back to Money Gym, you can adjust and you can change your list of values, because maybe it does change over time, and you can add in coffee shop or whatever that represents for you, or like my sweet ride, whatever that represents for you. This is really important because it starts to make this process feel more fun and feel more personal and feel like it's uplifting who you really are, and like you're not having to fit into some box of saving, packing your lunches in a brown bag from home, getting clothes at the thrift store, walking everywhere. If you can shine through and really start to push some juicy energy into the places where you want it, you will feel better. And then you won't really mind the sacrifice that you're making in the other areas. So you have to be going to the gym every week for your money. You will start to get to know your values in a really different way, and you will let them shift and change, and you will make space for that and gratitude for that. So good luck with that. Have fun.